Are we live now?
We're not live. We're not live. This won't be live. This is
Those live shows were stress, baby.
this is canned. We're doing a canned. Well, I was gonna do my intro, but that's ruined. Here we are. We are. As if I can't like edit it, but I don't want to. But that's exactly how this episode should start because I am here with two of my favorite people in the world. You know Jamila. She's wearing hoops and a collar today. She's like out here giving you a full fantasy. And then living the also fantasy dream is the gorgeous, the amazingly talented director, puppeteer, international artist, Allison Gonzalez.
You know.
She's like, period.
I will say that I have been asked to do about 14,000 podcasts. Not one person has ever sent me an email with a podcast link. So thank you for making my podcast dreams come true, Nick.
Hey, listen, here we are. I mean, so I love y'all. And I think the way that we met is so fun and so we met doing an incubator for Puppeteers of Color in Chicago. Jamila and I were the producers or whatever. We did something. We did all of it.
We did a lot.
We did all the things. And Allison was in the cohort, which pretty much meant that we just got to kick it with Allison while we talked about art. And we gave her some money to buy some cool stuff. And then we had this amazing show and Allison did this incredible piece that really because Jamila and I coming into this were not puppet people.
Right. We were leading a cohort that had decades more experience than we could ever imagine.
There were homegirl was in there, what was her name? I can't remember her name. Oh no.
Margaret probably.
Margaret.
Margaret Kemp is an OG.
Out here making rafts with the indigenous people of Australia.
It was amazing. It was Allison Gonzalez, our lovely guest tonight. William Estrada.
Yes.
Insane that he even applied to this and
let alone I'm friends with him. How can I be friends with someone so cool? I don't know. But that cohort made it happen. That cohort brought all of these people from it was a really beautiful blend of people.
So that's probably the most artsy fartsy thing I've done in my entire life, and that's how Allison ended up in my orbit. Yeah, I come from theater world. I make musicals. I my puppet experience was Little Shop of Horrors. That's the most.
My puppet experience is Seymour.
That's the most
incredible. I love it. I love it.
I made a paper bag puppet here or there, and
y'all made the owl, and
right? Yes, right. Allison, I bet your owl, you made the owl in grade school, and they were like, "Why is your owl flying around the room? How did
an animatronic owl?
Why does your owl have Max? Why doesn't yours?
Because Allison, that's what you are genius at is using things around you or simple things to make extravagant things happen. Where did that skill come from? Why did you start making art in that way?
That's a really deep question because it can pinpoint the moment that it happened, and it is indicative of who I am as a person at the core. So when I was a kid, I would procrastinate on all school projects until the night before, no matter how many weeks or months you gave me. And I had to make a Viking ship in one night because that's what you do when you're in 4th or 5th grade. And because I did not give my parents any heads up that I needed to buy stuff for this project, when I finally did tell my parents about the project, they freaked out and they were like, okay, well, you're going to have to build your project out with whatever the hell you can find in the house because I'm not buying you shit. You should have waited till the last minute. Oh. And I built an entire Viking ship out of aluminum foil and cardboard and took it to school the next day. And they almost didn't believe that I did it by myself and thought that I got my parents to help me. And I was like, Are you kidding me? Like the audacity, right? And so that's kind of where it started.
Oh my God, I didn't mute myself and I just did it in the midst of your fucking talking. That's terrible.
No, that means you're the king of the world. You can do whatever the hell you want on your podcast. Shit, lay down. Do like a symphony, like middle of the middle stretch, you know, when they have that pause and everyone's like, where did that come from? How were you holding that in for 17 and a half minutes? It's so intense.
It's real though, because like the worst thing is like when you go to a show and I have really bad allergies and I get really hacky sometimes even before the corona. That's why, honestly, here's the thing. As a person with the allergies and the mucus that lives this life and does what he wants, like I had an extra layer of anxiety being in the COVID world because I'm trying, like I might get like a little piece of mucus stuck here. And so like the natural thing you do is cough. I'm like, I can't just be coughing in the world. Like I can't just be out here. Don't cover your mouth. It's too late. You already laughed at me. You laughed at me already.
I laughed.
Because I'm a joke.
You gave us like a preview, but you didn't stick around for like the encore, and I was hoping for that encore. This is a place of love and joy.
Amen.
That's what we're gonna do.
Love and joy. Because we need it. Actually, okay, here's the thing. I know we're laughing, we're having a good time, but I have to get your reactions on.
So sorry for parking on your show. I just know it's gonna come, and I was like, wow, I'm so glad I got that love and joy shit out when I had the chance.
That was where it was. You said that, and I was like, we gotta pivot real quick.
Like to meditate on that point.
Right.
Serve you up some different looks. Bring it on.
So January 6th. Any reactions?
He mutes himself so he doesn't have to succumb to the dumpster fire he just pushed us both into.
Right. I say
Jamila,
January
you take
6th
it.
is that's white people's business. I don't know what happened. That was your meeting. We're gonna chill. All of us brown and black people gonna chill.
That was so savage. Your earphones couldn't even take it. That was so.
That's exactly what happened. Your earphones like, oh shit, Shaq.
Oh my God.
Oh, she's talking about me. Shit. Am I the one who's racist? Because I'm saying I'm not racist, which definitely proves I am, by the way.
Right.
Headphones.
That's
Ding,
how
ding, ding.
Yeah.
Okay, white people.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's my ice cold hot take.
Yeah. I mean, that's good though. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. What about you, Allison?
You know, I'm not a parent and I never intend to be a parent, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews and I have been a babysitter, professional babysitter. So I have some reference point for what I'm about to say. Cannot be completely ridiculous. When bad behavior goes unchecked for the lifetime of a country, this is what happens.
It's the lifetime of a country part for me.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be the part that people like to forget.
Yeah, it wasn't the last 4 years, honey.
Right.
No.
They're like, the last 5 years have gotten us to this point. I was like,
My eyes
no.
were opened.
No.
Why so late?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's I think that's the most insulting part, especially when Jamila and I jumped on a great big call on the morning of January 7th to try and eat as much of the elephant in the room as possible because I was spiraling. And we talked a lot about the club, our Puppeteers of Color social club, and like what that's going to look like. And I said, you know, the reason why we never made an announcement when Black Lives Matter movement started gaining more public ground in March, and why we continue to not say anything now is because that's the whole reason why we started in the first place. And I don't need to create a fancy infographic to explain to you why we're doing this. And so there is like conflicting guilt on my part of like, as a creative director of this club, am I not saying enough? Am I not doing enough? Am I not, taking a stance? But it's like, bitch, we're living and trying to harbor as much joy on the day-to-day. That is the stance. That
doing
is
the work.
The protest. That's the work.
Literally doing the work.
So we don't need to say anything else. We don't need to remind people that you should not treat BIPOC people as second-class citizens, that our art should not have to come with some kind of, special residency or some special blessing from a white organization to prove that it's worthwhile and it's valid and it's important and that the work should be continued to be lobbied for and to be made. Like, that's the whole reason why the three of us clicked, is because we didn't have to convince each other that these are our like pillars of values that we want to continue to build our community around.
Period.
Say that.
I mean, because I think that's, this is a theme that just keeps coming up in my life right now. You have to do things. Like, you can't just say you're going to do things. Like, why are we still talking about doing things instead of just doing things? At this point, I'm like, y'all, we had a whole summer to talk about it. And we gave y'all that summer to talk about it. Like, what are we still talking about? Because at this point, you've been trapped at your house, or you've been going to your job, unfortunately, but your job ain't as busy as it was, depending on the industry that you're in. Like, what have you been doing? And I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate that you want to be as thorough as you can in whatever, but I also need you to stop that and just do something. Just do something. Or at least tell someone that you're going to do something. Like, there's also this, like, I need to keep it hush hush. Like, it's like, from who, from what? Like, what do you risk by just saying out loud that you're going to actually make a dedication to be better?
Well, damn it, I meant to mute myself a little bit before I did that, but I just...
This episode is a disaster.
We're professionals, you guys.
I'm so sorry.
And acting like it.
No, Jamila was like, we're not live anymore.
She just starts taking out her earrings. We're not stretching. This isn't the stretching part. We're
professional.
Also, let's take a single moment to talk about the neck accoutrement. Are we kidding? Like, there's these neckline that I am seeing across from me. Like, come on. Who are these women?
Finance hoes you got on this call today. Hey.
Right.
Listen, people, you have to understand, the last time the three of us saw each other in person, we were like sitting on the floor in some place, like in sweatpants. Like,
so well.
We were all the last people that we saw.
Yeah.
The Wednesday before lockdown that Friday went through.
Yeah.
Y'all were the last.
Yeah.
That's it. That was it. And we even knew at that point it was weird. They were already starting to like wipe down the tables militantly. We were kind of trying to social distance, but then kind of being like, if this isn't the last snuggle we're all getting, we're gonna fucking snuggle.
There definitely was no mask. No mask. Like,
no masks.
This is a pre-mask time.
Yeah. I remember at that point, I was like, where would I ever get a mask? Like that was the question. Like, I was like, I don't even know where I would go to get one. And like, America fixed that one. Like, you're cranking them out.
Fashion masks.
Thank you, aunties.
I have like 50 masks. Like I have so many masks.
Good for you. They're the new reusable grocery bag. You know, you just have like a million of them. and you desperately try to pray that one of the 50 that you know you have is somehow on your person when you need it.
Never is.
The amount of masks I just have in all my coat pockets now, it's just, yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, I
One
wanted to
day-
go all the way back to what you were saying about people, about 3 hours back, to people saying they're going to do stuff for just like not doing it. And I feel like that's the tell right there. Like this is like very much shit or get off the pot situation. It's January. It's January 2021. We've been doing this for so long at this point. And if you're not going to do something, it's just not happening for you. You don't want to. It's not a, oh, when this happens, when this happens. Like if you're dedicated to it and you're passionate, there doesn't need to be a jump off for you to, jump onto the bandwagon. So I feel like it's not even a question of asking people when are you going to do stuff or if you're going to do anything. It's like, are you doing it or not? And that's the answer to my question,
Yeah, I mean, it's so black and white. There's no gray. And if you live in the gray, that you're just waiting for a bus that's never going to come, right? And something that the momentum from the movement at the height and post height has taught me is that when we're talking about leveraging community resources, like mutual aid was not really a concept I was that familiar with prior to last spring. And now it has just really changed the foundation of the way that I'm thinking about community, because I myself have raised last year on maybe 3 different occasions just on posting in my Instagram stories, private friends only chat, which maybe has like 75, 80 people listed. I was able to raise about $500 from people just sending me like 20 and 30 and 10s and 5s over PayPal for like different artists that were in need at different times, like teaching artists that lost their job because of COVID and now they can't pay rent, or some, houseless community aid center that was looking for resources. And I was like, okay, well, we could all go ahead and buy our own resources and figure out how to get them, or you all can donate to me and I can go pick up the stuff from a local store and it'll be done with, And so the idea of you need to be an influencer and have 10,000 people follow you to make a difference in your community is an absolute capitalistic shitty fallacy that nobody is proving that to be correct. I have under 500 followers. I think it's like under 350 followers on Instagram, and I'm able to do that. So if I'm able to do that with the 4 fucking people who care about what I'm saying, like everybody can do that amongst the couple of friends, and it doesn't have to be $500. It could be $75. But it's just the idea of like thinking beyond yourself and pooling resources, however small those resources might be, is going to make a huge impact to somebody else who has nothing.
That's it.
Yeah. And just kind of going off of that, like I feel like, okay, these headphones. I feel like if this summer hasn't radicalized people to the importance of like a community-based economy, then like absolutely nothing will. Because I mean, this like I've known about like, because Chicago's a pretty good place to learn about, like urban farming and like a lot of co-ops and things like that, and a few like alternative economies that are working smaller within the city and things like that. So I had like a very small foundation for it, but over this summer it just grew so exponentially, and like you cannot look at what people are not even forced to do, what we're doing in this time of crisis as capitalism continues to fall and crumble like it has for decades, and just how generous your community will be when you have no one else but your community. And like I really hope this summer has radicalized people to just a more, like I said before, community-based economies and this like alternatives that we can work in while we're under capitalism still.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's it.
And I think also like we gotta talk, people. Like we gotta communicate. And there's just like, don't nobody want to talk no more.
Well, because they're all ashamed of what
And
they're
like,
going to say.
we can blame social media, like, but there's been no talking for so long that's why we're here. Like we're at the point, not only where we aren't talking about it in real time and in actuality and in true words, but like we're also like we're actively talking away from it, like in fear of like saying what you, in fear of, like you said, Allison, like saying something to offend, or not saying the right thing, or not being perfect in what you say. You're stifling everything. You're cutting off any wave of communication. You're not telling me what your thought process is, which then puts you back in the cycle of making decisions that are actually driven for yourself, that you say are community-based decisions, because you're making them for us, but we don't know what you're doing because you're not saying anything. So like, it's just like, we got to talk. Can we talk? Okay, can't sing too much more. I'm really, lately I've been singing songs as if I got an ASCAP agreement. Like, I need to get that.
What is it? Dress for the job that you want, right? Sing for the job that you want.
You better sing for that ASCAP agreement. Could you imagine when you go for an ASCAP agreement, you like have to like sing 15 songs?
You've prepared your 20 bars. Let's hear them. Like before they give you your paperwork.
Exactly. They're like, you sign nothing until you sing something. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3.
Something that you said, Nick, made me think of this analogy that I've used many, many times before for artists who are like, and to myself many times, of like, oh, I'm not there yet. I still have things to do. I need to get it perfect before I let anybody in. And so what I've seen this happen before with people who are musicians, and they're like, I'm going to cut this amazing record when I have X, Y, and Z done. And X, Y, and Z is never going to happen, right? Those are like really incredible things that would all have to line up in order for you to do it, versus just, like being bad and getting good and letting people and make that process happen in front of people, not behind some closed door, so that when you come out, you're phenomenal. Right? Like that's not what happens in the process. The process is everybody starts from a deficit and gets better, and your community supports you and you gain momentum because more people want to go on that journey with you. So I don't understand how it's easy in the social media world to take that person on a journey of like, having babies, even now having miscarriages. You're seeing more stories that are being shared, which is phenomenal. Right? But that's also still like a gut-wrenching thing to talk about. How is that easier to talk about than systemic racism that is affecting every single person? How is systemic racism somehow easier to talk about than disability rights? Like how are just talking about marginalized people, why is that such a taboo? When you look at the amount,
why you gotta make it weird?
Why do you gotta make it weird? When you look at the pie chart of everybody, right? And you take
I literally thought that you were about to pull out a fucking pie chart. Like the moment that your hand I was like, here she comes.
I wish. Lord, do I wish. With a great Mac that I could just go around my pie chunks.
I felt it in my heart. Like everything in my heart said that you were about to pull out a pie chart.
Praise your sweet plays your sweet blessings. No, and so it's just like this. It frustrates me, this idea that we can talk about all this hard stuff, but we're selective about what hard stuff that we're going to talk about. Whereas like, if we're going to talk about some hard stuff, let's just put it all on the table. Because when you look at how many people are truly in the world, BIPOC people, disabled people, people who have any marginalized need outside of the cis het normative world, like I gotta feel like that's gotta be a larger percentage than not. So if that is a significant part of the population, why aren't we spending more time assessing how we can better care for people that we've consistently left in the margins, that we've consistently left to the very end, if at all consideration in the planning process, that we're going to make solutions that are equitable for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And like, I was just going to say, like, if you can't work with the community if you don't speak to the community, and like, and through that, we got to see the work. People like to see the work. Remember in school when your math teacher was like, I got to see the work.
Oh, I love that analogy so much.
She's like, it's fine that you got the answer, but I I need to see how you got
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Like that, because that builds trust. That's how I know that you know how to do the work. Because what's happening is you ain't doing nothing, and you lean on a few people to actually do some things. And
Your
then
four brown
when it's
friends.
done, you're like, oh, look at the things that we did. But you actually didn't do anything because you didn't know what to do because you were in silence the whole time. Jamila.
I think what I'm about to say kind of leans heavily on like both things that you two just brought up, because like what I think of a really big part of people not talking about it, even within like minority spaces, is like I think a lot of people have a really hard time being self-aware about the privilege that they hold within
Oof.
whatever spaces they hold.
Mm.
Like I understand the privilege that I hold in like Black queer communities. I try to be very cognizant of that and check myself consistently. And like that's a big part of having those conversations, is understanding that you are no longer centered. Because all of us we're all queer, Black, and brown people. We're used to being centered in those conversations, but then you add other intersections and maybe we're not centered and we're the privileged people, and you have to be able to step back and understand, okay, I'm coming from a place of privilege, even in this conversation in this room. And so I have to break down that kind of barrier, that whatever wall I'm building up to protect myself, and understand that like these conversations are going to be hard on me because I'm going to be at fault on some topics. I'm going to be adding to their oppression on some topics, and I need to be able to stand within myself and be like, okay, I got to step back. We have these conversations. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but that's literally the only way it can happen. You know, self-awareness and understanding privilege. It's there in so many different little intricacies in our life, but you know.
That is why you are my mythical unicorn princess, by the way. All that shit. That whole thing. Top to bottom, left to right. Take it to go. I'll take 2, please. Thank you. What are y'all gonna eat? Because that's just me. Like, honestly, I will say, I can't believe I'm even bringing this up because this is like, I haven't even told my parents this, but I'm changing how I am culturally identifying these days. I've culturally identified as a Latina my entire life. And there are some crazy ass Latinas on some nasty ass anti-Black shit. And you heard it here first. I'm not standing for it. I do not support those people. And I do not want to ever be associated with a whole bunch of people that think that their version of brownness is superior to anybody else's. Like, that is just, it's huge. So I am now trying to embrace self-identifying as Chicana over Latina. It's definitely a really interesting journey that I've gone on, and I would say that the basis for the need now more than ever to be more vocal about it is I just keep seeing Latinas saying the most vile shit in these very similar to what we're doing, these like group forums with BIPOC people, and it just, the way that Latinas are talking down to Afro Latinas, Black Latinas, any other diversion, but somebody who looks like the evil Longorias of the world, like, I'm not here for it, and I don't want to be associated with that at all. So your whole part, I mean, the whole part, Jamila, about like checking your own privilege, like literally my sphincter was like fucking twitching when you were saying that. I felt that when you said that. I was like, that's it. If we could all just do that, we will make decades worth of progress so freaking quickly, because the reason why it's taking so long is nobody wants to do that work.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Can you break down Chicana for me?
Yes, Chicana is a Mexican American person who is either first gen or their family has been here the whole time. Maybe their family roots were in a part of Texas or Oklahoma or New Mexico that used to be Mexico prior to when the property line moved, all that kind of stuff. So it's a more American version of that identity. And so the Chicana movement, so to speak, kind of really took, started gaining ground when protests that were led by Cesar Chavez and Hidalgo, I can't remember her first name, but they were the two big protesters that really went above and beyond to try and secure more rights for migrant workers and undocumented people and stuff like that. And that was the Brown Berets, who were the Chicana and the Chicano activists who supported the Black Panthers in the 60s and 70s. Those people also self-identified as Chicana and Chicano.
Interesting. I have nothing to be like part of this. I'm just curious because I'm very curious about ethnicities, Black and brown people in the Americas. Do you identify as Indigenous, like actively?
I do not.
You don't
know.
Oh, okay.
I don't have. I would be one of those basic ass bitches of like, of course I'm Piano. Are you kidding me? I'm totally Mystique. Are you? Totally.
I'm totally Mystique. I can't.
Are you? Are you Gonzalez with an S? Are you really? Are you?
Wow.
I'm pretty sure you're not.
We
So
love
it's like,
that shade. That
you
was
know,
good.
I throw that shade just because so much
love
shade
it.
has been thrown at me my entire life of like, I'm not brown enough. I'm not brown enough for the brown people. I'm too brown for the white people. You know, it's just like, that's fucking exhausting. So now I'm like, oh, I'm finally empowered enough and finally comfortable enough in my own identity to just shit talk whoever wants to talk some shit, because I am not holding back anymore at all.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
Listen, and you heard it here first on the come up. Allison, oh my God. Jamila, Allison, thank you for being here. Thank you for always real talk. Thank you for having brilliant things to say 100% of the time. And for being in my life. I appreciate you.
I love both of you. I miss you both. Virtual hugs.
Did we even give you anything, Nick? I swear to God, every time we're on this.
No shit. Are you? I imagine you're gonna edit this down to like 3.5 minutes.
Right?
Maybe.